A human being locked in a dark concrete room eventually experiences a strange psychological mutation. To survive the isolation, the captive begins to study their captor with obsessive intensity. They track footsteps. They analyze moods. Eventually, the sheer terror of the situation morphs into gratitude. They fall in love with the person holding the key. Most people live inside this exact architecture. Your walls are built from a desperate need for external validation and a fear of social judgment that dictates your every move. Society looks at this state of perpetual anxiety, where you anticipate the needs of others before they even speak, and gives it a polite label. They call it empathy. They tell you that you are a good person for being so highly attuned to the feelings of everyone but yourself. Carl Jung identified this as participation mystique. It is a primitive state of psychological fusion, where you lose the ability to distinguish where your own identity ends and another person's begins. You are entangled, believing that by pouring your energy into someone else, you are securing your place in their life. This fusion turns you into a psychological parasite. Because you lack a self-sustaining internal environment, you must attach your emotional baseline to an external host. You trade your life force for scraps of validation, leaving yourself entirely dependent on a world that barely notices you. Niccolò Machiavelli observed that this same internal weakness serves as a massive, invisible control system over the masses. He understood that the collective desire for approval functions as a more effective restraint than any physical chain. This system dictates when you speak, what ambitions you pursue, and how much risk you avoid. It operates by making you predictable. You choose the path of least resistance to ensure you never disrupt the comfort of the herd. To maintain your status within this fear-based system, you present a sanitized, amputated version of yourself to the world. You hide your sharp edges and suppress your true desires to remain acceptable to people whose opinions you don't even respect. Escaping this structure requires a terrifying act of psychological treason. You have to cross a line from which you can never return, deliberately destroying the very identity that has provided your sense of safety. Real strategic transformation begins when you hit the floor. It is catalyzed by a crisis, a public failure, or a deep betrayal that strips away every illusion you held about the people around you. This moment of collapse provides the window to systematically burn down your old self. You identify the behavioral patterns, the over-apologizing, and the shrinking that you originally engineered to survive in a weak, approval-seeking environment. Attempting to stack ambitious goals on top of an old people-pleasing foundation inevitably leads to another total collapse. The underlying blueprint is flawed, designed only for survival, not for power. This destruction mandates the ending of relationships that rely on your compliance. It requires you to stop performing the comfortable version of yourself that others have come to expect, and abandon the habits that keep you stuck. True reconstruction means accepting a permanent loss. You will lose the approval of people who only valued you because you were easy to control. Letting that approval die is the first move of the strategist. Building absolute psychological density requires you to face the shadow, the parts of yourself you have locked in the basement. This includes your capacity for selfishness, rage, and manipulation. While society demands you hide these traits, they contain the materials needed for your most unshakable boundaries. In 1913, Carl Jung went through a period of intense psychological fragmentation. He chose to lock the door to his study and initiate a direct conversation with his own madness. He wrote it all down in his legendary Red Book, meeting the figures in his mind and analyzing them with forensic intensity. By shaking hands with your own inner psychopath, you become immune to emotional blackmail. When someone says, "You are being selfish," you can look at them entirely unbothered because you have already explored those corners of your soul and owned them. The game of shame ends there. Once the shadow is integrated, you begin libido retraction. This is the process of tracking down every external attachment draining your psychic energy, the ex who left, the friends who drain you, and violently pulling the hook out. You reel that energy back into your own chest. You seal this reclaimed energy inside your own mind. As you stop venting and seeking external comfort, the internal heat rises. This pressure melts down your weak, fragmented ego and forges a solid, unshakable self that operates on 100% of its own battery power. This makes you a self-generating engine of reality. You swallow your projections, taking the traits you admire in idols and manufacturing them within your own personality. You stop seeking missing pieces in others and become a completely self-contained entity. Your new operational baseline is defined by a psychological firewall. You aggressively filter out unsolicited opinions, distractions, and provocations, treating external events as mere data to be processed rather than emotional threats. Silence becomes your strongest weapon. By halting the leakage of emotional data, you create an armor of mystery. Because others can no longer read your reactions or anticipate your limits, they naturally begin to second-guess themselves in your presence. You operate with a refined emotional discipline. This state allows you to feel intensely while maintaining complete command over your expression. You choose deliberately how and when to reveal your internal state, ensuring that your emotional output always serves a strategic purpose. This discipline evolves into ruthlessness, which functions here as precision. It is the ability to execute a necessary decision without hesitation or the need to soften the blow. You identify what must be done and act at the exact moment required, without any internal negotiation. Acting without emotional interference or attachment to outcomes strips the world of its leverage. You are no longer performing for an audience. You are watching your own movie, entirely enthralled by your own evolution. This internal density creates a psychological black hole. By collapsing inward and hoarding your psychic energy, you develop a heavy presence that warps the dynamics of any room. You are no longer a vapor that can be blown away by a single comment. Here we find the ultimate paradox. People are not attracted to generosity. They are attracted to gravity. When you stop needing the world to survive, your density creates a vacuum. Others sense that you are no longer feeding on them, and they become desperately curious about how you are surviving so well without them. Individuals who previously ignored you will begin to drift into your orbit. They will project their unlived potential onto you, viewing your self-containment as a sign of mastery. They will offer affection and loyalty, hoping to get a piece of whatever you have built inside yourself. The sovereign mind remains entirely unfazed by these projections. You recognize the mechanics of their attraction and remain indifferent to whether they stay or leave. You have moved past the need for surrogate greatness and now possess it yourself. You have traded the exhausting pursuit of being liked for the cold reality of being free. You have survived the darkness and emerged as the architect of your own mind, recognizing that the only dangerous opponent left is the version of yourself you haven't met yet.